Well, hello, YouTube, and cheers. I'm having a nice Canadian frosty multi beverage on a Sunday afternoon when I should be out sailing. But despite the way it looks out there, it's really a crappy, crappy day to go sailing. And so instead, I thought I'd talk to you about sailing. Um, basically, I Sunday afternoon, it's October 23rd. The boat's coming out this week, actually, and I was hoping to go for what's probably the last sail of the year. Got some time, and the weather was looking really good, but it's not very warm. It's only a couple of degrees above zero, above freezing rather, um, and it is windy. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to be single-handing, um, and so it's going to be a lot to handle, especially if something goes wrong, which it usually does when it's really windy like this and really gusty. It's probably over 25 knots out there right now. Like, it just would be crazy to go out alone. And on top of that, like, even if I could handle it, which maybe I can, I don't know. I've got confidence in my sailing ability. I'm a pretty careful guy. But even if I could, it's going to be unpleasant. Like, it's just windy and not very warm. Just walking from the car to the house, I was chilled. So I decided not to. And in lieu of that, I'm doing, you know, talking to you about sailing instead of actually going sailing because that's what this channel's founded upon. Unfortunately, as soon as I started the YouTube channel, um, things really kicked into gear. And when I finally did get going sailing, I was so excited to go sailing, and I wanted to, it was so late in the year that I just wanted to sail. I didn't want to try and sail while trying to figure out how to film it and stuff like that. So I just sail. And as a result, I've had a whole season since I started the YouTube channel, and I've not done a video. So I thought I would start things off by just doing a recap of what happened over the summer. The hull deck joint was really leaky last year, as well as all the hardware on the deck. Turns out that the previous owner didn't really believe in caulking. Well, it's leaking a little bit in the cabin, but for the life of me, I can't figure out where. And it's just a little bit. You'll have to sit in there in the rain and watch where it leaks. Well, I can tell you where it's leaking in the rain, everywhere. So anyway, I mean, it's not hard to rebed all the stuff on the Shark, but the big one was the hull deck joint. The water was going down and getting stopped at the tow rail and then just seeping in, and that caused me a lot of problems, particularly in the fall. It wasn't so bad in the summer because I was down there at least once a week, usually two or three, four times a week, because summer's great. But in the fall, when it gets dark, mid-September, it starts getting dark early. So if you can't get off work early, which, I can't arrange work around sailing as much as I'd like to, you're not going to get out for evening sails. And usually there's stuff to do at home Saturday or Sunday. So, once the fall hits, I'm probably only going to get out sailing once or twice a week in perfect conditions. So in the fall last year, I'd come back and there'd be quite a bit of water in there, but it wasn't a huge deal. But it things started getting fuzzy, which is it's just bad. So I realized that I really need to get the top of the boat sealed up. So that's what I set around to doing early this summer. But I didn't really think through the project per se. Um, I knew that I didn't want to leave all the screws out of the hull deck joint for a long time, which turned out to not be an issue. But I didn't want the hull to sort of bleh. Well, it didn't have the deck to tie it together. Um, in retrospect, I didn't have to worry about that because there were some bolts holding it all together in the bulkheads, and it's really Shark is really thick fiberglass. So it wasn't really an issue, but at the time I didn't want to get it all taken apart and then have to wait for good weather to put it back together. So I waited for the good weather to take it apart, and then like trying to arrange people to come and help me and everything because I live about 30 kilometers from most of the people I know. I'm out in the country and I live alone. So trying to get someone to hold a wrench inside and all that kind of good stuff was tough. So by the time I got all that arranged, and then all hell broke loose at work for about a month. I didn't get the boat in the water till August 8th, 9th, August 9th, I think it was. So yeah, I rebedded a whole bunch of joints in the spring. I did some, or not in the summer. I did some fiberglass work because there was a compass, a knot meter, and a VHF radio mounted in the cockpit. And the compass and knot meter didn't work anymore. And I thought, you know what, I'd like to get a tactic in a few years, but my handheld GPS does all that stuff just fine. So I thought I'll get rid of that, make it lighter. It'll be better. It'll just be easier. Um, so I filled those holes in, and the VHF radio should not be mounted in the side of the cockpit. Stupid spot. Anyway, so I had those to fill. I had some plumbing to do with the bilge pump. I had to tear all the wiring out of it, and the previous owner just had like a lot of stuff in the boat, fish finders and little dish racks that he'd gotten at the dollar store, and just crap like that everywhere. Um, he just he didn't really think twice about drilling a hole in the boat. So I had a bunch of that kind of stuff to get rid of. That was the beginning of August. So we dumped the boat in the water, and I didn't actually get to sail it that much for the first week. The first week that it was there, I had just gotten on holidays, and like I said, all hell had broken loose. So my house was a disaster. I had to clean that up as best I could and sort of get it in shape. And then anytime I got down to the boat, I volunteer with a disabled sailing school, which I'll probably do a video on one day. But I volunteer down there, and so they needed someone to go down. They were doing a cruise day, and so I went. They needed someone to follow along in another boat, so I took the Shark along and did that. So that was a fun trip to Belleville and back. What else did I do? I guess that was about it for sailing. I didn't actually get the sails put on the boat until we went on our cruise, which I'll tell you about in a minute. So once it was in the water, I had some rigging issues to deal with and a few other things. The forestay fitting, I found out once the boat got in the water, the forestay fitting was pulling out. So it needed a new backer plate, so I chipped out all the wood had gotten rotten underneath. So I chipped all that out and then made a stainless steel plate to go up in there, and that was a bitch to change, actually. And I got to thank my girlfriend, because I don't have, you have to work through a little like 8-inch hole that's about at the end of your arm, and my girlfriend did it for me because I couldn't fit. Thank you, Grace. Oh my God, thank you. And she actually made herself seasick too doing it because her head was in this crappy little compartment. Yeah, so we did that. I rewired the boat. I've just got a temporary panel in there right now. I want to make it out of nicer wood, but I want to make new fiddles for the shelves and stuff, and that's not going to happen for a while. So it's just a prototype thing in there, but I rewired the boat, which took a little longer than I thought it would. And so I've got two 12-volt outlets now, one on the back deck where I can plug my autopilot in or plug the engine in to charge the battery. My little 4-horsepower engine's got a little battery tender, like a 5-watt charger on it, which is great. So I've got that, and then there's one in the cockpit, or in the cabin, and then running lights, masthead light, VHF. So I got all that squared away, which is pretty cool. Finally got the boat seaworthy and ready to sail, and we took off down on our trip. We took a week. We weren't sure we'd like cruising, but we didn't have a lot of money, and we had a boat. So we decided this year our vacation would be doing a little Bay of Quinte cruise. And our goal was to get to Main Duck Island and back in a week. So we figured we'd go Belleville, Trenton, which is where we keep the boat, Trenton to Picton to Wapoose to Main Duck Island, and then reverse. We didn't quite end up doing that because just nothing went according to plan this summer. What we ended up doing was leaving really late and doing a gorgeous night sail. I will do another video about that, but just this gorgeous, gorgeous night sail. Probably the nicest night sail that I will have for the next 20 years. It was just, I cannot stress how amazing it was. To a place called Deserano, where we slept at a municipal dock. And then there's no head on the shark, so I don't like to anchor because gotta have my morning poop. That's just how it is. And I don't want to hang my butt over the side. I've heard people do that, but I don't want someone waking up with a turd on their waterfront one morning. So no anchoring for me. Anyway, so we went from there to Wapoose, which was a really long day. It was hot. There wasn't a lot of wind, and it was a long haul. And we started late. And then in Wapoose, we couldn't go on to Main Duck because we left a day late, and we were going to get stuck on Main Duck Island in a really big rainstorm. Like it was just going to pour all morning, and our stove broke. I had a little lantern style backpack stove that we were using to cook, and it stopped working pretty spectacularly, actually. And so we were going to be stuck in the rain in a tiny boat with not a very nice cabin on an island in the middle of Lake Ontario with no hot food. So we decided not to go to Wapoose, or not to go to Main Duck. So from Wapoose, we went to Picton and spent a day in Picton, which was amazing, by the way. Everybody should go to Picton. They have amazing showers at the yacht club, and it's just a cool town. Basically, just walk from like breakfast place to coffee shop to bookstore to coffee shop to bar. Fabulous. Grace really liked Picton. And then we went to Picton. We still had some time to kill, so we went from Picton to Napanee. Grace did not like Napanee. I did not like Napanee either, actually. The Napanee River was gorgeous. That was everybody should go up the Napanee River. But as far as I'm concerned, the only thing to do in Napanee is go to the bar, the pub, bistro, whatever it is, across from the municipal docks, which is a little expensive, but just don't bother with Napanee. After that, it just wasn't. Anyway, moving on. Then from Napanee back to Trenton. After that, just sailing here and there for a bit. I was on vacation for the month of August, so I did as much sailing as I could. Grace was around for a bit, so she was kind of tired of the boat. I did manage to get her out a few times, and I managed to get some friends and stuff out a couple of times. So that was good. Never did get to racing this year. I really wanted to race this year, but just didn't happen. Well, I guess I did want. I was about to say I didn't get to racing this year, but then I did a race. We did the Katie Gray race on the Labor Day weekend. I'm really interested in long distance racing, and particularly in a small boat. I'd like to see sort of how much I can get out of a small boat, because I like small boats, I like racing, but I'm getting bored of just going around the marks. So I'd really like to see sort of how far I could push a dainty little boat. And so the toe in the water was the Katie Gray race, which is more or less a fun race, I think. It was definitely didn't seem that serious this year, but this year we had zero wind. Anyway, so we did that, and then through September, I did actually get out quite a bit in September. I think I got out twice a week for most of September. My plan was to go Sunday afternoons, and then at least once through the week. And I live alone, and I've got a flexible job, so I can make that work. And that worked through most of September, and then we hit October, and I thought I really like sailing in October. I used to have a little CL14, and I'd take it out in October all the time. The only fear was once it gets into October, if you get wet, you're going to be cold. I really liked October sailing, but I never used to go out much. So it was one of the things I was looking really forward to when I got a keelboat was doing lots of fall sailing. And October hit, and I was hosting Thanksgiving, and work was really busy again. So October was crazy busy. And so I haven't been out in about 3 weeks, and now it's time to take the boat in. So that was pretty much my season. I spent a lot of money on the boat, more money than I anticipated. But I didn't get a lot of short sails in, but I got like 2 really good long sails in. And I think that's pretty worth it. I really enjoyed that.